There's no disguise anymore. Open world government announced everywhere. Bait and switch. UN was always just a debating society. Now in Australia, in England, in the United States, they're announcing command and control. If the Congress and the parliaments don't capitulate fully to this treaty and paying direct taxes to private banks, IMF, World Bank, then the executives will do it under emergency rule. Dr.Tim, persecuted top climatologist, has been exposing them from day one. What is it like to actually see tyranny, classical Julius Caesar, Adolf Hitler level tyranny like this, and these guys are only getting started? What is it like, A, and B, why are they so bold? Why are they making their move out in the open?
Well, first of all, Alex, people said, oh, you should be vindicated now that the information's out showing you were right. No, it's a terribly sad day. But worse than that, I'm frightened because this is well, if you look at what's going on at Copenhagen, it's paralleling to the Nazi festivals that Hitler organized. I mean, that opening video that they showed of the child, I mean, you could almost say that's child abuse. And, of course, they've exploited the school system and used the children.
Yeah, for those that don't know, it shows children and animals, a bunch of different videos, dying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely shameless. And then, on top of that, of course, the World Meteorological Organization comes out and says, 2000 to 2009 is going to be the warmest decade on record. Well, first of all, the decade isn't even over yet. And they're saying this, but they do that every year. They come out in November and say, oh, this is going to be the year when you still got December to go. And, but of course, it's the warmest decade on record because while they've been keeping records, global temperatures have been increasing. But it isn't due to the CO2, it's due to the sun. And, of course, what they also don't point out is that in the decade from 2000 to 2009, the temperatures have plateaued. So it's almost like you've reached the top of the mountain, and the top of the mountain is flat. And the global temperatures are now going down. But those sorts of things they know that the public don't know about. And if anybody like me gets up and says anything, then we're very, very quickly and easily marginalized. So what I've seen is the vehicle that they've used, the climate, the method they've used through the UN, and I see just basically a fascist takeover of the world, and it's very, very disturbing. But of course also, Alex, I see within it, Obama's saying that Bush has made the world hate America. Well, maybe you could argue that some in the Middle East, the Muslim world, a little bit more, but there was an anti-Americanism all along anyway. I know that as a Canadian. I hear it up here. And I know because I've got family in England and I hear it there. And, of course, one of the things that people don't like about America is you're successful. And not only that, but yes, you've done some things wrong, but you're the first people to admit your errors.
And that's how they sold the third world.
Generous to other countries in the world. And as I say to some of the Canadians that go on about it, I said, if you think you don't like the Americans as a superpower, wait till the Chinese take over. And ask the Tibetans how they feel about that. So
yeah, let me throw this in. We're going to break back in 1 minute. I want you to finish your thought. But that's how they sold the third world and getting behind Kyoto and now Copenhagen was, oh, you're going to get those evil Americans. We're going to get their tax money. Now they get the treaty, and it says, oh, you got to make double the cuts, and it's all going to be paid to a private bank, and it's going to be secret, and then we're going to have the IMF come back and loan the money to you. It's just a total, they're screwing everybody. Dr. Ball, stay there. I don't even know if we should play this Copenhagen, Denmark UN video where the little girl dies because of climate change, is blown away by water and wind and killed. They're showing school children this. They show them videos, cartoons where humans are demons, cutting the heads off of bunny rabbits with blood spewing. We played that yesterday. ABC News reported the kids are taught that they need to commit suicide by age 11. That's the ABC headline. Children taught when to die, age 11. This is so monstrous, so evil, so off the charts by these eugenicists who want to wreck society and control it. The only way they can control society is to wreck it. Dr. Tim Ball's our guest. We're going to take calls coming up in the next segment. Alex, Jeremy, Lynn, Ron, and others that are holding. But this is a short segment. The good news is we know how bad it is. The good news is we know these people are criminal frauds. The good news is some people are starting to wake up. The bad news is the enemy knows that and is moving, no longer incremental, but throwing everything at us. They've certainly kicked it in high gear. I mean, is that overall a positive thing, Dr. Ball? You've been fighting these guys for 20 years. Any words of encouragement? I mean, is ClimateGate a victory? Where is this going?
Okay, a problem's only a problem if you're not aware of it. And the fact that the problem's now been identified means that you're halfway there to resolving it. And one of the things, of course, that they've been doing, besides this machinations of UN and all the rest of it, but they've been end-running the legal processes within different countries. So, for example, they got the Supreme Court to rule that CO2 is a toxic substance, which allowed the EPA and Lisa Jackson, who's a chemical engineer and should know better, CO2 is not a toxic substance, but it allowed them then to come in with this draconian legislation to shut down industries whenever they choose. And so that sort of thing... what's going on here, Alex, is that they knew they had to operate very quickly. It's a very poor analogy, but it's a bit like, when you take that Band-Aid off, you're better just to rip her off quick and suffer the pain. And by the way, they learned this from Jimmy Carter, because Carter talked about this in his book. He said if you don't make changes very, very quickly, you're effectively accepting the status quo. And so, of course, Obama's gone in there and ignored everything. He's ignored, he got himself elected under false pretenses as a sort of center-left Democrat. Underneath, of course, he was extreme left all the way along. Now he's had to expose that. And, of course, in doing that, you show your hand. And, of course, that is the good side of it. And so, as I said, the fact we've defined the problem and people can now move to deal with it. One of the things that the public can react to, and by the way, what we're seeing, Alex, is that the Internet is taking democracy and not just in a political sense, but in the sense of power is control of information. In the old days, the kings, the queens, and you got rid of them, rightfully so, because they were controlling the information and the power. And now you've got the situation where Congress, your own elected people are doing it, but through the Internet, that is making information available to the folks, as they would say. And it is democratizing information. And so there are 1 million and more eyes watching everything that goes on. And therefore you really can't get away with anything. And it's not in the sense of spying, but it's in the sense of basic openness, which of course is what the founding fathers in the U.S. had in mind.
And the people have gotten their healthy mistrust of government and power back that Thomas Jefferson talked about being so essential. And so now the layers of lies are being peeled back, and a lot of the denial is ending. The end of childhood for our society is coming, and people are growing up.
Oh, I would agree. But the second layer of this, of course, is that you've got the politicians doing what they're doing. But, as I just mentioned, Lisa Jackson...
The bureaucrats.
The bureaucrats. The enemy is within.
Stay there. That's right. I mean, most states in the U.S. are implementing Kyoto taxes right now, and they haven't even ratified it.